Are you ready to accelerate the growth of your business? Welcome to the Revenue Growth Podcast. This is the place for business owners, sales leaders, and marketing professionals to get ideas and inspiration to drive exponential revenue growth. Each week, you'll get actionable insights from the world's leading marketing and sales thought leaders and practitioners. Are you ready to grow? Let's join our host, Daryl Amy, author of Revenue Growth Engine.
Hello and welcome back to the Revenue Growth Podcast. Daryl Amy here, your host, growth architect, trailblazer, and all-around guy that loves helping great businesses grow. I'm glad you're here today. We've got a fantastic conversation coming up here in just a minute with my friend Dan Zawacki. He's a lobsterpreneur. You're going to learn all about what that means. And you're going to just want a notepad for this episode because you're going to learn a ton. We're having a great time right now as we're recording this. We are now beginning Q4 of 2021. Q4 is here. And if you're a football fan like me, you know the fourth quarter is really, really critical. We want to make sure that we finish strong. And one of the things I've been so happy to be a part of and so excited to tell you about over the last couple of weeks is the 2021 Trust Building Challenge. The 2021 Trust Building Challenge is aimed at helping sales upskill themselves, sales professionals upskill themselves in being able to build trust quickly and sustain it. And I've been hosting this challenge this past week with my good friend and podcast co-host, Larry Levine of Selling from the Heart. And I just want to say the content has been incredible. So here's the good news. If you didn't make it live to the 2021 Trust Building Challenge, we recorded everything. And if you go to 2021trustchallenge.com right now, you can actually get access to all of the recordings. So 2021trustchallenge.com, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, your sales team, you want to make sure they get access to this incredible content. Also, a huge shout out this morning as we begin. I want to give a shout out to this episode's sponsor, Convergo. And the team at Convergo is dedicated to helping entrepreneurial companies accelerate their growth. So if you are an entrepreneurial company and you're looking to accelerate growth as you move into 2022, you need a plan. It begins with a plan. Nothing happens without a great plan in place. So if that sounds helpful to you, if you need to build a plan to grow revenue faster, I'd encourage you to call my team at Convergo. Go to convergo.co and learn all about how your entrepreneurial company can grow faster. Speaking of growing faster, I have a great guest in the studio today. I mentioned at the beginning of this that you're going to learn about what it means to be a lobsterpreneur. Dan Zawacki is a certified lobsterpreneur. He's also a certified EOS implementer. He's the founder of formores.com. And I'm so happy to invite Dan to the studio today to share some wisdom. What's going on, Dan?
Thanks, Daryl, for letting me be on your podcast. Just a great day here in Chicago. Really looking forward to being on your show. And,
well, you're
sharing some experience.
we actually got to enjoy lunch together a couple of weeks ago on a sunny day in Chicago. And I learned the story of the lobstergram. You got to tell this story. Let us in on some of the backstory of how you got to where you are today, because there are not that many lobsterpreneurs that we've had on the Revenue Growth Podcast.
I'll bet you $100 I'm the only one.
Probably will be the only one. Yes.
Well, it's a crazy story. I'll give you the Cliff Note version because it literally can go on for a couple hours. But way back before there was, Al Gore invented the internet and all that good stuff, everything was mail order, right? And I was 24 years old and I thought, wow, why is nobody shipping live lobsters as gifts to people? How fun would that be? And I was one of those kids, I love lobsters, we'd go out to dinner with my parents. I'd always try and order the lobsters. And, my mom would be like, no, he gets a cheeseburger.
Right. But they're in the tank swimming around with the rubber bands on their claws. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe once a year I'd get it. I just love lobster.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had what I call a real job before when I got out of college with Honeywell. Great job, Fortune 50 company, had a great salary, all the stuff you'd expect. And I needed to give gifts to my clients. And so that's when I thought, wow, I'll give them live lobsters. So I tried to find somebody in Maine. You would think in Maine, right? The lobster capital of the world, that
They got lots of them.
yeah, would be doing it. So I actually called, and for anyone who remembers the Yellow Pages way back when, before there was Google, I looked in the Yellow Pages and I called 20 some dealers and wholesalers and said, hey, look, I was like 80 packages. I'm going to send to my clients. I'm going to put 2 lobsters in there. Oh, I'm going to put a pot, lemon and butter, the whole experience, and send it all out. And I swear, every one of them, they laughed. They said, that's stupid.
Right.
You know, if that was a good idea, somebody would have done it already. And I'm like, I almost was like, wow, maybe they're right. But, you know, I decided, well, you know what? Screw them. I'm going to do it myself.
All right.
And so I literally went to a wholesaler in Chicago, bought a couple hundred lobsters. And literally the first lobsters were in one of those grocery plastic bags. And I put all the lobsters in the trunk of my car. I used a plastic tarp though. So, you know, It was a company car. So, you know, what are you going to do? And I bought.
Should have got a rental for that one.
My boss, he wasn't too excited actually. But I got a couple of cases of lemon and butter and some shell crackers and bibs, and I plagiarized some cooking instructions from a restaurant that I in a placemat. And so I literally living in Peoria, Illinois. That's where the company started, if you could believe it. Peoria, Illinois. Really the lobster capital of America now. But I would go to my clients, which are all around Peoria, Champaign, all mid-state. I'd open the trunk of my car, pull out 2 lobsters, put them in a plastic bag. It was the worst packaging you could ever imagine. A stick of butter, a lemon, the shell crackers, and then the cooking instructions and a little bow I'd staple to the side of the bag so it wouldn't get wet. And I just go up to, you know, my clients to go, hey, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, you know, appreciate your business, gotta go. And I drive off to the next, and I did that for it was almost 2.5 days. And it was a riot. I was like playing, you know, Santa lobster. I mean, it was crazy. And people actually, they loved it. And and this was kind of way back. And a lot of my clients, you know, now sometimes expensive gifts, you know, you're not supposed to do it. But back then, nobody cared. And, you know, I had some clients that were getting free leases on cars, trips to Hawaii. And I would give them these 2 lobsters, and they would call me and thank me and say, gosh, that was the most awesome gift, Dan. Thank you so much. And this one guy who was like a mentor of mine, client mentor, because I'm a 24-year-old kid. I really, you know, I don't know much. This guy, you know, he was like probably 40, you know. And he goes, hey, Dan, this is like in February, you going to do anything with that lobster thing? Because if not, my wife wants to start a company. And so I immediately said, oh, yeah, I'm working on a business plan right now. And sorry. And so I had really not even thought about it. But I thought, wow, this guy thinks it's a good idea. Maybe instead of going out to the bars that night, I should just sit home at my little table in my apartment and write a little business plan out. And it's funny because I don't know if you can see it, that's my business plan right there. This turned into a $15 million company.
Amazing.
And I show that to, you know, people, is that you don't need these 200-page, you know, business plans that no one reads anyways. So anyways, I started writing it down. I would check it off. Oh yeah. You know, one of them I remember was credit cards. How does somebody call you over the phone I mean, now it's like so easy, right? With Square and everybody. But how do you get these numbers and like magic, it appears in your bank account?
Right.
So, I mean, that's how green I was, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so I had to learn how to do that, right? And so
Wow.
finally got all that. The hardest part was learning how to ship a live lobster across the state. It was easy just to put it in the trunk of your car. And so that took a little time, let's say a lot of errors, a lot of we call DOAs when I would send it to my friends. Like, okay, not gonna do that again.
That didn't work. Check that off the list.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, after about 6 months, I was like, wow, I checked off all the boxes. And so I kind of, I'm not going to say launched the company, but I launched it. And I had, I'll call them mercy sales, right? Where your dad and mom buy something, your best friend, because they feel bad because no one's buying anything. And so I was able to get on a radio show, one of the biggest ones in Chicago, Jonathan Brandmeier, still a big fan, love the guy. And when I told him what I was doing, I said, yeah, I'm shipping live lobsters out of Chicago as gifts around the country. He's like, wait, what do you do? Because at that time, it was crazy to do that. I mean, people were shipping frozen steaks. My friends over at Omaha, Harry and David were doing the pairs, and that was pretty much it. Nowadays, food is everywhere, right?
Right.
But back
Yeah.
then, I was a total pioneer. And not only did I have to start a company, but then I had to build a market. Little marketing in there. A little bit about that. And so that was kind of really the hard part of getting it going is, I got this great idea, this product, people love it, but nobody knows about it. So I thought, wow, I'll just call a radio station. He's the number one person in Chicago. Everybody listen to him and see what happens. And by golly, I got through to him. He put me on the air. I told my boss I was going to make cold calls in in Springfield that day, which was a lie. And I kind of feel bad, but nonetheless, I got on the air and I'd sold about 5 packages in 3 months. So not sustainable yet.
Right.
Get on his show and sell 180 plus packages within 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Just from being on that, it was the PR, which I learned PR is your friend.
Yeah.
And fortunately, my boss's boss was in Chicago in a taxi and heard me on the radio. And he didn't like that. And that was, this is 84, 87. And I signed paperwork saying I was only going to devote all my time to Honeywell, blah, blah, blah. So nonetheless, I got the party axe. They fired me, gave me the box. It was a bummer. But that's what launched my entrepreneurial career. So
wow.
I call myself the accidental entrepreneur. I just kind of fell into it. And that was how Lobstergram got going. And it was really, and there's, as with everything, there's the plateaus, you hit the ceiling, you keep going. And so I just learned that, PR, whatever it was, this is before social media and the internet, all that kind of stuff. So it was radio and TV. And if I could get that for free, holy cow, now that's cool.
Well, I think that's such a great point and such a good topic to dive into today as we're thinking about growing our business. And, here we are, we're on the eve of 2022. As we're recording this, everyone, you're listening in. Yesterday was the day Facebook crashed, right? And everybody went, oh my goodness, what does a world without social media look like for 6 hours or whatever? But the reality is, I think in today's marketplace, a lot of times with the advent of social media, which is fun, just fantastic. We've gotten our eye off the ball of more quote unquote traditional PR things that we can do, leveraging general media and leveraging just traditional PR tactics that, quite frankly, are not getting a lot of attention by marketers and have the opportunity to get you on some stages. I mean, you went from being on a local radio show in Chicago to being one of the top sellers on QVC. Was one of all of them, right?
UVC. I was Sean Hannity's first national advertiser. I was on Rush Limbaugh National.
I remember.
It was absolutely amazing, the power of really radio, and I was doing TV. We were in Fortune and Forbes, and Time Magazine said we were one of the best food inventions of the year, which I thought, well, that seems a lot, but I'll take it, But,
hey, if you live in Peoria, Illinois, and you can get lobster for dinner that's fresh, that's innovative, right?
Yeah. So, and that was it. What I, kind of back with your PR, I truly believe so many people I talk to, they're like, TV's dead, radio's dead, but they are really looking for content because, so many people have switched over to all the other platforms. And so if you've got a good story, and that's the key, you have to have a good hook to get people in to want to, listen, especially the producer, right? When you call the producer, if you don't have a great story to tell them, it's like, just click, goodbye.
Right.
And so that's what I tell all my clients now, that, have a great story, practice it in the mirror 1,000,000 times, and have that hook so that they can't say no, that they go, yeah, we'd love to have you on, right? But as you said, I believe that, radio and TV, the traditional magazines, they are still looking, and they're powerful out there too. There's a lot of people that, are listening to radio when they're driving to work. It's not all Spotify. And that was one of the things that really elevated Lobstergram. I mean, we literally went from, 0 sales to, the first year, I think it was like 5,000, and then we just started growing 30-40% a year. And then I peaked out at like 15 million. And that was about as far as I could take it.
That's
and
amazing.
I didn't want to get any more partners. I didn't want any more to do with anything with any banks. Sorry, bankers out there, but
well, I had heard a rumor through the grapevine is that you are the #1 seller of lobster on television in the history of selling lobster on television. Like, you broke all the records.
Well, on QVC, they have this thing called the Special of the Day. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, whatever. You're on like 8-9 times. And we sold $2.5 million of lobster in a day.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I think at the time, my sales of my company were about 7 or 8 million. So it was like a monster, well, first of all, it was a nightmare in trying to get it all shipped out.
Yeah, that's a lot of lobsters.
As we say in Maine, it's a lot of lobster.
That's right.
But we were able to do it. We had some plan, we knew we'd sell it, and we opened up a secondary warehouse for a month so that we could do it. So I was always really great at being able to scale, because we turned out we were a gift company. So we did 50% of our business in November and December. And that's just how I thought business kind of was, right? So I built all my processes, and, I know your book talks about the process, right? And you have to not only have a marketing and sales process, but you have to have a kick-ass operational process, right? You get the sale, but if you can't get it out the door, you're just going to make everybody really bad and sad. And they're all going to go on social media and tell you how horrible you are.
Well, and that is, you're absolutely right. All kinds of media. So you got to get that right. And that's one of the reasons that I'm such a big fan of the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and is exactly what you're talking about. It's that mindset of saying business, great businesses run on processes, or for my fellow Canadian friends, they run on processes, right? Either way you slice it. The reality is process is so critical, yet, you go into most businesses, they've got a billing process, they've got a shipping and receiving process, an onboarding process. Hopefully you've got processes for all of that, but you go into sales, you go into marketing, and you hear, it's like a Wild West. You hear the sound of the eagle flying over, right? And you see the tumbleweeds blowing by, and the salespeople process is like, guys, go make some more calls, right? And marketing, it's not much better. It's right. Run a campaign. We need a brochure. Why don't you do a webinar or something? But where's, all great things, but where's the process, or as Gina Wickman would say in traction, like where's the proven process that you've documented and improved for sales? And you got that right at the Lobstergram company as a lobsterpreneur.
Sheer luck,
Well, it was more than that. You didn't get it right the first time. You had some DOAs.
Yeah, I had the great things, the good things, and the really, really horrible things that they're just stuck in the back of my mind. And hopefully they'll never come out. But that's what the genius of Gino Wickman, with EOS Traction, the book, is, process. But not only process, but process simplified, documented, and followed by all, right? Yep. So, and it's at a high level too, right? People want to, they want to get every I dotted, every T slash, so that every single thing that could go wrong is taken care of in this process. And we take this 20/80 approach. We're document 20% of the main items that get you 80% there, right? Because that other 20% just is going to give you one of those SOPs that's going to be 500 pages long, and no one's going to read it. And then you're going to wonder, why doesn't anybody do what we talked about? But it also is the FBA, followed by all. You got to train, and that's where I think most people fail. They got the process, but they forget to train people. Here's the process, right? And that how we measure that they're doing it right. And guess what? If you don't do it right, there's got to be consequences that don't make that stuff up. This is the proven process. This is what you can follow. Now, if you have a better way to do it, well, by golly, tell your leadership team, and they'll change it, right? That's the beauty of it.
Well, yeah, let's think about sales for a moment. I have my sales hat on, in 30 years of working in sales and sales development. The thing you see over and over again, I've seen this across multiple industries. You walk in, there's a sales team, there's, 20% of the reps are getting 80% of the results, and the rest of them, it's just a revolving door, right? And so the new people come in, there's no process to train them on. And they're, a lot of times it's like, well, go hang out with that person. They'll teach it. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. And so you end up year after year going, why are the same, why are the same group of people delivering all the results? And, quite frankly, as a business owner or sales leader, why am I being held hostage to that, or waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, hoping none of them leave in the great resignation right now? Sure. And the reality is the process is the key. So you can document what's working, tweak it, and then hand it to somebody, train them in it. And now you've got a path to be able to scale.
And to me, that is the only way you're going to scale, and you scale profitably, and also have fun doing it. Because let's face it, growth is hard. Everybody, unless you're an entrepreneur, has been through it all. Oh yeah, your growth is great. It's easy, right?
Overnight success.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they have no idea. You grow $1 million, you got to come up with $300,000-$400,000 in cash or inventory or labor or whatever it is.
Lobsters.
Lobsters, inventory. It's expensive.
Yeah.
So part of the process is planning it too, so that you're not growing too fast, which happened to me a couple times. You got to kind of take the reins and go, whoa, we got to sit back here a little bit, or maybe we don't have the right person in the right seat, right? We need to, We need to change that around a little bit.
I think that's another, when it comes to, and we're thinking here about process and revenue growth, another good part of that is with the processes in place, things become a little bit more predictable. And as a company, as you're saying, there are only so many resources, right, to be able to fulfill, to be able to deliver. There's only so much capital, and business that ping pongs up and down. It's exhausting from a financial management standpoint alone, and having the right processes in place, or a process at least, like as Gino says, you can't improve something that's not written down, right? So starting and documenting it so you can improve it, it really helps eliminate that, roller coaster effect on, we got a good month, good quarter, bad quarter. We can start to plan this out. I've seen that over and over again. I'm curious what your experience has been.
Yeah. So for us, we had two separate processes for everything. So we had processes basically from that January to October timeframe, because everything was slower. And then we had the, just the monster processes, where everything was quadrupled, where we did 50%, in November and December. And like you said, it wasn't very, it didn't just like hit me all of a sudden one day. It took a few years to figure, boy, we need a process for the slow time, and we need a process for the really crazy time.
Yeah.
And we would go from 30, 35 people a year up to 130 people. We'd hire 100 plus people. And that alone was a process of trying to hire good people, right? The right people that fit your core values, and, training them in the processes. And then just think about this. A lot of this was happening packing in a freezer that's 12 below zero. So it wasn't like the best working conditions, but
no doubt. Well, it's kind of cool now. You've congratulations on selling the company, and now you're a certified EOS implementer. And for those listening in, I'm sure most of you know EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, as outlined in Gino Wickman's book Traction. But now what's cool is you're taking your experience and helping other companies become operationally excellent so they can scale. And I'm just curious, as we wrap up today, what some of the things you're learning, some of the things you're seeing about companies that are actually growing well, like there's healthy growth in those companies. What are some of the common characteristics you're seeing in the clients you get to work with?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Because a lot of times when I first start with clients, they're just in a big funk, right? And so the one thing that is really one of the most important is they literally have core values, just a handful, 3 to 5, that everybody is aligned on. And that's really one of the biggest things, is that we get everybody aligned. Here's our core values, which is our culture. We're not going to let anybody in here who doesn't fit our culture. We're not going to hire anybody. And that we also really define what is their core focus. What is it that we really do at the end of the day? Because if you try to be everything to everybody, you will fail miserably, unless you're Amazon and have an extra $700 billion.
That's right. And 8,000 warehouses. But you did that. You did the core focus. I mean, you didn't deliver pizzas. You didn't deliver sushi. You delivered lobsters. And you got really, really good at it.
Yeah, we got really great. And the other thing that I find is what we just talked about, is the processes. You have the processes. People are following them. And then you're also measuring. What are the important things? Not lagging indicators. To me, everybody measures sales, at the quarter, at the end of the month. Okay, you know what? Big deal. That's a little late. Why don't we, on a weekly basis, measure what is our pipe? How many proposals did you get out last week? Right? And there's always, I swear to God, every time there is a formula that is developed. If you got X amount of proposals out, X are going to close, and that's what the sales are going to be. So at EOS, we always we do the leading indicators. And there's a bunch of them, but we don't do like 50. We just take the top 10, 12, maybe 15, right? So that they really have meeting. Because otherwise, when you're in the meeting sitting down with your team and you're going over this list of 50 things that are really important, guess what? Most of them aren't. And by that, everybody in the meeting is kind of going, oh my God, wake me up when this is over.
It's so good. All of this is so relevant when you double click down into sales and marketing as well. Core focus, right? Who are you focused on? What's your process? How are you keeping score? And then how does that align with your values? All of that is so relevant. Dan, I just want to say a huge thank you for sharing your stories with us today. We're great. Your experience has been fantastic as well. We're going to put your contact information in the show notes. But as we leave, what words of wisdom from all these years of being a lobsterpreneur and now coach to some of the greatest companies out there, what would you say to encourage folks listening in that want to grow faster?
Well, I think there's two things that I've kind of narrowed things down, maybe three, but one is expect victory, right? Be an optimist. I've never met an entrepreneur that's a pessimist. Expect victory. Bring that into your leadership team throughout your organization. Celebrate the big wins and celebrate the little wins too, right? The other one, I think, is make sure you have a great guarantee where you're guaranteed. I don't care what you're selling. I mean, I have some financial services clients, not like we're going to guarantee a 12% ROI, right? But some type of a guarantee or a pledge that'll take the risk out of buying from you.
Yes.
And if you can do that, you've taken your prospects through the funnel, and then they get to the end and they see the guarantee and they go, well, what is there to lose? Why not do this?
Yeah.
And not a watered down one, but a great one. And if you don't hit it, that guarantee is going to hurt. And I guess the other one too is it is okay to have fun in your business.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, that's one of the things I cannot work with any clients that are just completely, I call it the old IBM 70s way, right?
Right. Yes.
Hey, business is serious. I get it. I had one for 30 years, but at the end of the day, if you can't have some fun doing it, it's going to make a really miserable life. So have a little fun. It's okay.
Well, I will say, Dan, we've had some fun today, and along the way, you've shared a lot of wisdom that I know has been extremely valuable to our audience. So I just want to say a huge thank you for what you're doing and also for investing in us today. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. One of my core values is here to help, and I love helping people, entrepreneurs out. So, and thanks, Daryl, for inviting me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you to everybody in the Revenue Growth Engine community. It's fourth quarter. We got to get it done. We got to get the ball across the line, finish strong. And I know there are so many people out there in marketing and sales that are working hard right now. And I just want to cheer you on. This has been a challenging year in so many different ways. Dan's back in the green room doing, let's go, guys, let's go. But I really do. I want to cheer you on, and I want to encourage you to take the things that Dan talked about to heart. Get focused on your values. Get your business focused on a core focus. Don't just try to be everything to everybody. Define your processes. Get a scorecard. Have fun. So much rich advice. And by the way, if you are an entrepreneurial business, you want some help growing, I really suggest you give Dan a call, because I've seen him help some folks out and all of this. But more than anything, let's get it done. Let's finish 2021 strong. A huge thank you to the Convergo team. If you need a growth plan, reach out at convergo.co and learn about how other companies are accelerating their growth. Also, make sure to check out the 2021 Trust Building Challenge. As I mentioned, we've got an incredible fall lined up of guests that are going to help you drive your business forward faster. So thank you to everybody who's sharing this podcast, whether you're listening on the audio side on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or whether you're watching on video on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Would you do us a favor? Give us a share, give us a shout out, give us a review. It helps us spread the word. And until next time, as always, let's get going and let's